Despicable Me would be a great title for the Aaron Rodgers autobiography that is eventually coming, wouldn't it? Never thought of that
And it
before.
is coming. I think we're going to get a lot
No,
of Aaron
he's going to
Rodgers
fade
post-football.
away. No, Andrew,
Yeah.
he's going to disappear. We're never going to hear from him again when his playing career is over.
Well, what's funny about that is when I was doing a show with Ben Roethlisberger, which was, in my opinion, the best player radio show of all time, because Ben purposefully scheduled his show to go on an hour before Tomlin talked every Tuesday, so he could get his agenda out before the coach would. And many times a portion of Mike Tomlin's press conference would be about what Ben said rather than things that happened in the game on Sunday. But Ben used to tell me the same things, Mike. Oh, when football's done, I'm going to fade off into the abyss. I'm going to be in rural Georgia playing golf and hiking and hunting all the time. You'll never hear from me. And now he puts out a podcast on YouTube like 5 times a week. So I think these claims by quarterbacks that have been in the spotlight for 20 years are usually pretty dubious.
Well, and I think they believe it when they say it because they don't know what it's going to feel like when the spotlight moves away, when the train keeps rolling, when the game keeps going, and you quickly fade from relevance. There's an item on the Athletics website that I've got open that I want to take a closer look at. But Gerald McCoy, who's now with NFL Network, who's had multiple of his teammates die, he has some quotes in there about how difficult it is for a lot of former players. That's your identity. From the moment you realize as a kid that you're head and shoulders better than the rest of them at football, because that's where the NFL players declare themselves the first time. Football is your life. Football is who you are. And then you get to the point where you're either too injured, too old, or your skills have diminished to the point where you're no longer part of that world. Then what? And I think a lot of guys struggle with that. And I think for the guys who have been in the brightest of the spotlight, when there's an opportunity to walk right back into it, you're going to be drawn back into it. It's going to be a magnet that will operate against whatever your intentions are.
I mean, that's pretty much what Brandon Graham said coming back to the Eagles and wanting to extend his career after having like a obviously very ballyhooed celebratory right off into the sunset retirement. Now he's going to try to play again. I was surprised when Ben Roethlisberger, again going back to him, made it sound like there were overtures from the 49ers when Jimmy Garoppolo originally got hurt, and he made it seem like he could have gone back and played for that team. And given how close they were to a Super Bowl and given how much Ben loves winning, I'm a little bit surprised he didn't pursue that. That's probably because he's exaggerating their interest in him a little bit. And I think, Mike, everything you just said really ties back into Aaron Rodgers, because this beginning to his Steelers career, as brief as it probably will be, has been outstanding through 6 games, 14 touchdowns. He's on pace to shatter the Steelers' single-season touchdown record. And you wonder if he feels like he's got anything left in the tank. Does he come back for 2026? You know, he just played Joe Flacco, and Flacco has been on the record several times as saying, as long as I think I can still play, I'm not going to hang him up. I want my kids to be able to watch me play. This is my identity, like you said. And it just makes me wonder, given how difficult it's been for the Steelers to find their next franchise quarterback post-Ben, if they're interested in continuing this relationship beyond this season.
I think the concern that lurks for all of these guys, though, the older they get, they don't want to have that Willie Mays moment that is going to become part of their narrative, that's going to be inescapable, where their skills diminish before our eyes. Because that's the thing. We think for a lot of these guys, like, Father Time is finally going to win the race between the end of one season and the start of the next one. It's entirely possible. It's going to happen during a season. It's a long season. And you can feel fine in September, but at some point in October or November, when you roll out of bed, you can be like, what happened? And then what do? If all of a sudden you feel like through age and accumulation of bumps and bruises, you don't have it anymore, what do you do at that point? And I think that's got to be a real concern once you get into your 40s.
It's a concern of mine with Aaron Rodgers. The first 6 games have been magical, but the first 6 games of the Russell Wilson were last year too, Mike. He was 5-1. The Steelers were averaging over 28 points per game with Russell Wilson at the helm through a half dozen games. We were saying that the Steelers had found their quarterback and we'd gotten out of the funk that was Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph with Russell Wilson. And then the bottom fell out. His sixth game, they scored 44 points against Cincinnati and won. He had a career high in passing yards, and then it was all downhill. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen with Aaron Rodgers. But one chief concern of mine is Aaron Rodgers last year did very well against bad to mediocre teams and performed poorly against good teams. And most of the schedule so far has been against weak defenses, Mike. That's going to change Sunday night against Green Bay. And they play the top two seeds, the number one seed in the NFC and the number one seed in the AFC at Acrisure in back-to-back weeks coming up.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.